Rachel, so how do you like the process of being interviewed?
I would so much rather interview than be interviewed. I love asking questions. I love finding out who people are, and it's possible that part of that has to do with not really want to reveal myself. Besides, I truly am curious about other people, but I feel much more comfortable being in control.
Right. So what have been the contexts in which you've interviewed people?
Socially.
Yeah, just socially.
Not only socially, but socially is where it first pops out. I'm just fascinated with what makes other people tick.
Right. And
I've had the pleasure of getting to do some interviews for like Black Book. They really let you do whatever you want.
What's Black Book?
Black Book magazine?
I think I've heard of it, but what is it?
It's like it's a New York City-based kind of arts, hip, urban. But the cool thing is they'll let you just really go gonzo with the interview and kind of shape it differently.
So what usually happens when you interview someone? What are some of Rachel Resnick's signature interviewing techniques, whether socially or for professionally?
Well, I think one of them is that I actually prepare. Like, I one time interviewed Junkie, this might interest you because of the Judaica, whatever, for Max. Do you remember when Max?
Yes. French magazine?
No, Max was the movie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
The amalgamated character of the guy who supposedly was the art dealer who Hitler had dealings with, and because he was stymied, but that's one of the theories, so it was fascinating. And the fun of it was I did a lot of reading. So that's always fantastic when you're interviewing someone. You can say, hey, I'm this, that, and the other. It's like Michael Silverblight. When he's like, that guy will interview people, and it seems like he's read more than the author.
Do you think he's a good interviewer?
Are you putting me on the spot?
No, I can't stand him, so I'm curious.
I think that I appreciate that he does so much research and seems to really know. It's not my style of interviewing because I would prefer to draw them out. It's similar to what I do because I teach a lot. I've been teaching since '95. One of the things that really gives me huge pleasure is drawing people out or letting them have breakthroughs and revealing things about themselves. Not, now I'm going to give you all these. There's nothing left for me to reveal after spilling my guts on the page for this book. No, I'm sure there is, but because I think people do get defensive when they're being interviewed and aren't used to people listening, especially in this city, no? I don't think a lot of people really listen. They're just waiting for the opportunity to bring the conversation back to themselves on some level. So I think if you really listen, there's an opportunity for a kind of intimacy or breaking through that wall, especially if people have been interviewed a lot. When I've had to interview authors is one thing because they're not used to being interviewed as much, which is why I'm like trying to warm up here. But celebrity type or whatever, who are more in the media for whatever reason, do I have sweat like pouring down?
Fine,
okay.
yeah.
One of the reasons that can be exciting is to get a genuine moment, an exchange when that's not usually what they do, from what I can tell.
Nice place you got here.
It's
amazing.
Unbelievable. You know, when I was a kid, I read Magic Mountain.
Right.
And I always wanted to just be sent away to a place like that. And this feels kind of right.
Yeah.
I feel incredibly lucky. Incredibly lucky.
How long have you been here?
11 years.
Wow, in this place?
I know. Yeah.
So much of your book took place here.
Yes. You're right in the spot. In fact, you can be the first person to verify, well, actually, there is a tree, and da-da-da-da. Yeah. Oh, now I see your brain ticking.
Do you normally have to drive people out of here, or how do you get them out once they're in? Or you just,
I have my bouncers. They're off today. No. People figure it out.
Really?
Yeah. Well, first of all, once you make it out of this street and the driveway, which is precipitous.
I was scared to death coming up here. It was frightening.
See, to me, I think, besides being a love junkie, I'm sure I'm an adrenaline junkie. I like driving fast and curves.
Along mountain roads right next to the edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You love Yosemite? Have you been to Yosemite?
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah. In fact, they're having some issues now, right?
Are they?
The overdevelopment of the land where the animals will, that's one of the issues, I believe. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's Yellowstone. Yosemite's not having that. I don't know. But Yellowstone was just in the news. I'm always worried about that, well, many things, neurotic writer, but worried about that. There's a word for that interface between wilderness and habitat, or civilization, that liminal space between, which this place you just panned around, right? That's the freaking state park. I mean, it's the largest state park within the bounds of a major American city, as far as I know. And I didn't, understand what that meant, really, being more of a city, generally.
You got lions and tigers, or
exactly, yeah.
Some really
that's what it sounds like.
Wild animals here.
Yeah. I wrote about this, but I mean, it's a horrible loss. But I had a pet parrot that was snatched off the deck right here by a bobcat in the middle of the day. And I know you laugh, but I had like because I have a lot of loss in my background. So this was, you can get very attached to animals. Did you not you?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't mine, so I'm sorry, it's terrible, but it's funny.
You can get...
If it was mine, I would have gotten quite upset.
Okay. I mean, I even had... I know, it does sound ludicrous, but it was heartbreaking, and I even wrote an LA Times article about, it was basically a tribute to the bird. Yeah.
There was this story called, I think, The Devil's Tooth, about these islands 26 miles off San Francisco, which are have you heard of it, which is the greatest concentration of white sharks anywhere in the world. And some totally clueless people who'd saved, I think, some sea otters, nursed them back to health from something or other, took them out to the island for some reason and released them. There was this whole boat of people releasing them. The otters swam around in the water for about 30 seconds, and the shark came and jumped on them after nursing them for 9 months.
Did they have grief counseling?
I don't know, but it was pretty funny.
It's amazing that I'm even laughing about this now, because it was one of the most devastating things, partly because I felt responsible. On the other hand, it was a more noble way to go than, getting hit by a car, say. If you're going to go, there's something, swallowed up by wilderness.
Right. How did the interview on Friday go with NPR?
It went great. Yeah, I haven't listened to it yet. I'm afraid.
And you took notes?
They said, don't prepare, don't bring anything. I said, oh, really? And I thought, all right, I'll only bring 3 books and a stack of notes and note cards. Oh, yeah. And I brought some into the room, too, where they were like, please don't bring your coffee or note cards. I'm like, sorry, I have to have. Yeah, and it actually worked. It was really helpful because it was the first interview. And again, if you've been, I've been, holed up writing a book. You turn yourself into a lunatic. When you're working on something, writing a long project, you forget how to speak to people. I like the extremes. I do like that, but I'm just warming up to communicating again.
Right.
And especially communicating, presenting my own, because you have to then get distance. What did I write? I don't know. I'm figuring it out. But it was exciting because this is in the news, right? It's pretty trippy. It's a lot of things are in the news. But this seems to be exploding on the scene. With David Duchovny checking into rehab, a couple of weeks ago for sex addiction and publicly proclaiming it. Choke, the film, is coming out this month too. Oh, and Californication is coming back. That features a sex addict. It's that reality fantasy blurred line. And then, Choke is featuring a sex addict based on the Chuck Palahniuk. How do you pronounce his name?
Chuck something.
I can spell it.
Right.
I'm not sure. I think Palahniuk. And then, now this is interesting because those guys are talking about being sex addicts, right? Alanis Morissette, does anyone listen, right? Her new album, Flavors of Entanglement, she publicly proclaimed that she was a love addict, right? And this whole album sprang from that horrible